And we're live coming to you from our studios here in Victoria Island in the city of Lagos on a feel good Friday morning. Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. It is 32 minutes past 7 a.m. And it's that time to get into the big stories in the papers where we get to talk about the talking points. We get analysis, we get your thoughts, your contributions as well. You make everything a whole lot more robust. This is Freshly Pressed. It's interactive, it always is. So you get to join us on the show. Get your front row seats to everything we'll be talking about this morning. And you have multiple ways of doing that: YouTube and WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number, it is 0911 999 0981 0911 999 For those who don't have that number, it should be saved and on speed dial as well. Join us on the live stream on YouTube. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box there, and I'll get to them ASAP. All right, it's a Friday morning. You already know. For those who are regulars on the show, if you don't know, joining me to analyze the stories are two of the finest gentlemen you'll ever meet, AB Bozimo and, of course, Joseph Obari. AB, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Ayo. Happy Friday to you. Good morning, Joseph, and good morning to all of the likely festive listeners out there, dirtying up the December.
Yes, so Joseph, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, AB. Good morning, listeners. You're welcome to this today's show. Thanks.
All right, the festive season is upon us, but that does not mean we shall not take a look at what's been making the rounds in the papers. And we shall begin this morning, as always, doing that. Let's see what sense we can make of what is going on. AB, let us begin talking about matters of insecurity. Well, in a way, if I can put it that way. The Guardian is where the story is, and when I take this, it will make a whole lot more sense. Well, it says that the federal government has announced the reopening of 47 unity schools that were earlier closed due to security concerns, following measures taken to strengthen safety within and around affected institutions. Now, this announcement was made in a statement issued on Thursday by the Federal Ministry of Education. According to them, academic activities have fully resumed in the schools after improvements were made to security arrangements. Well, I'm guessing that schools will reopen in January for second term. I mean, all schools are on holiday right now. But AB, what do you think about this development, the reopening of the schools, and juxtaposing that with what led to the closing in the first place?
That's actually where my emphasis goes. What led to it? There were a string of attacks on schools, both FGCs and Catholic schools and all that. And at a point, this country appeared to be under siege. And so, in their wisdom, the federal government closed the schools that it ostensibly has direct responsibility to the federal government colleges. I've looked at the list. There were mostly across the north and a few in the south of the country. But the point was they were trying to be proactive. So to that extent, you will say kudos. But like you said, what led to it? There was supposed to be an existing Safe Schools initiative. I've talked about this before. You can even, first of all, do all the safe schools you want, but what of the safe roads to the schools? What of the safe places for the staff who go to and from the schools? Is there, as we sit, an emergency alert system at any of both these federal government colleges and every other, especially boarding school, where somebody can hit an alarm? Listen, as much as movies have lots of imagination, you can take ideas. My cousin was a fan of Star Trek when we were children. And the things that happen on Star Trek have all become like real life, except teleportation. But the phaser is like a cell phone now. There are many things that were ideas on Star Trek that are now real. Every movie has an emergency big red button, or in a bank, there's a secret button you can press that will alert the police. Is there such a thing set up by now in every single school? Every single school, so that security formations around there can be alerted? Question. So they say they are now opening them at Christmas break time for, for resumption. Presumably, it is so that, activities, staff activities and all that would have gone on, whether children are there or not, can continue. I presume that most wise parents will just say, wait until the new year, then they'll go back. But the question, I don't expect these actual details of the security arrangements that have been improved to be made so that the evil actor will not, counteract them. I'm hoping that the gravity of the situation has dawned on us, and that as well as the schools being better secured according to this story, we are making efforts to secure the society, because I love schools. In fact, I looked at the list. I saw that my school was not among those closed. It pained me, but maybe that means that the school was in a safe place. Really, FGC Kaduna is maybe close enough into town, so it may not be remote unlike other schools. The point is that children and the rest of us ought to be safe. Those arrangements and lessons learned from making those schools safer should be applied to markets, to healthcare centers, to places of assembly, to places of worship. In short, whatever lessons we learn and apply should be adapted to other places so that ultimately there is less room for bad actors to feel that they can stand like Bello Turji with a bandolier of bullets on his chest, releasing videos up and down. Remember, he's released a video talking when somebody released the fake news of some of the leaders of the country dying. At the Senate, they immediately said, find out who released that video and how.
Yeah.
How come they can't find out where Bello Turji is releasing his own edited videos? So sometimes these stories lead to other thoughts. Number one, let's have safer schools. Nobody's quarreling with that. But let's use whatever energy and effort we're ready to use for other things that, in my view, are diversionary to also apply to the security challenges in Nigeria. I'm happy the schools are resuming, but how effective are these new moves? Remember, Bello Matawale was told to relocate to Kebbi in the course of this time. Did he ever relocate? I'm curious. I wasn't there.
I'm just as curious as you are, AB. And truth be told, there is a lot riding on the measures that have been put in place right now, because we know what has happened in the last couple of months. It's been terrifying. In fact, we still have some of these young ones who are still in captivity right now. We don't know what exactly is going on there. So we need, and we need to make sure that those incidents do not happen again, which is why I said it is very critical at this point in time in our collective existence as a country that whatever the government has said they have put in place to make sure that the children are safe, the schools are safe, it has to work. It definitely has to work. We do not want any more of these sort of stories.
For me, actually, my concern is the effect of what has happened on the psyche of the children and the teachers. Yeah, you might open the schools, say they can go back, yes, resumption, but all that. But what's the state of mind of those who are in that school? How safe do they really feel? Yeah, how do they really feel? That feeling is what is most important. And of course, how does this impact the academic activity of the schools? Because what you're going to have is an abridged term. Teachers will be rushing to finish what they really couldn't teach within this period, and haphazardly things will be done to just give the semblance, and they hurriedly close for Christmas holidays. But the children would have been denied the benefit of proper educating in certain aspects of the knowledge they should acquire. And the truth simply is that there are certain things, I as a child, when I was in primary school, there were certain topics were taught when I was ill that it took me a long time, much later in my life, to really get to understand better, because no one of my peers could really interpret it for me. So if things like that happen to children, it could have long-lasting effect, because when you're not composed, even the teacher himself or herself is not composed to impart knowledge on children and doesn't even have the time, and then there's an imposed psychological condition I fear to imagine what the effect of that is over a long period of time.
Mm. Definitely, the students, the teachers, they need all the support they can get right now because, I mean, for many of those students, a number of their peers, a number of their friends were, taken into captivity, are still in captivity right now. So they need all the support they can get psychologically in order to be able to function as normally as possible. All right, Joseph, let us talk about electoral matters right now and a couple of developments. In the Vanguard this is where the story is. Now, the House of Representatives has approved far-reaching amendments to the Electoral Act, introducing stiffer penalties for vote buying and selling, including a minimum of 2 years imprisonment or a 5 million naira fine, or both, alongside a 10-year ban from contesting elections. They also spoke about mandating INEC to electronically transmit results from polling units to the IREF portal in real time, simultaneous with physical collation as well, a number of different things. But interestingly, here, some of the some of the amendments that we have spoken about for a long time, some far-reaching reforms, early voting, technology-driven PVC replacement, they fail to secure any broad consensus or support from both houses. I mean, what does that say about the direction that our lawmakers are thinking? Yes, what they're talking about in terms of doing stiffer penalties, this and that, but the core issues of the voting system itself, they've managed to skirt around it at the moment.
Now, the excuse they have given is that, oh, they couldn't rally the required consensus of stakeholders and even among lawmakers for such important things as replacement of this PVC, that's the
Mm,
permanent voters card,
yeah.
electronic voting, voting for inmates, and a whole lot of technology-driven sector of the electoral system. So the truth simply is that the challenge we've had in this country is not how fine the law can be. We've always had law. In fact, the existing Electoral Act has provision for penalties for those who buy votes. I mean, I think there's something like 500,000 naira or so fine and maybe a maximum of 2 years imprisonment. Well, tell me which of the politicians has been jailed for vote buying? We have had elections where it was very glaring that people were buying votes. Agents of these same politicians, some of them in the National Assembly, buying votes, and nothing happened. I mean, you tell me if maybe I missed the news, if you've known of any politician who was arraigned and tried for vote buying and he's spending jail sentencing and all that. I
None
don't
off
know
the
of
top of my
anybody.
head.
So the truth simply is that we're just joking. So these are the guys who are doing it. They are the ones who are doing these things. It is our political elites who are our problem. So they will skate around things that, you see, the day politicians hand electoral power to Nigerian citizens, they know they are gone. And because they are aware of this, they do everything to ensure that the people really don't get the power. So there has to be a little leeway for them to manipulate the system. So it's intentional. For as far as I'm
Right.
concerned, all these behaviors, all these omissions, all this looking over, all these are just intentional to make sure that you don't create a working system. You have to create a loophole here and there, what we call lacunas in law, so that you can tweak, you can find a legal way out. So on the surface, they appear to be interested in a effective electoral system, but in real practice, they are not interested because they are afraid that the day you have the electoral power to really vote and your vote can count, you will throw them out of power.
Right.
They will throw them out of power. So why would they want to do that? And until Nigerians keep pushing and demand that these people who have forced themselves to represent us do the right thing, they will continue to play with people the way they are doing. So we wait and see what will be the outcome of all of this in the next election. It's just around the corner. 2 years from now, we will test all of this and see if this has been in any way been as effective as they claim to be. Because it's actually the practice that matters. What they do on the field, what they do in terms of the law, implementation of the law.
Right, right. Interesting thoughts there. AB, is it safe to say that this is a lot of motion without any movement?
100%. Not just that. As I said, the vote I cast in the last election still has not shown up on IREV. I just want to put that out there. So even when they were saying it, they said it should be transmitted where possible. So it simply means that somebody says it's not possible, then not transmitted. So there can always be a reason. Let me tell you, this new tax law that we're even going to talk about, or is hovering in the news, you are not told to pay tax where possible. That one is a clear thing. You must pay tax. If you really want something to happen, you make a shall. But when you make a where possible, it means you have built in loopholes. But even beyond that, I think the whole notion of trying to improve this electoral system, the National Assembly could do it. Do you remember that President Buhari refused 3 times at least to sign whatever had been sent to him until after until after his second term election? So they can do all they want. If Tinubu refuses to sign, nothing is happening. Just want to remind you of that.
Man, there's so much to always unpack when we get into the news. Anyways, let's keep it moving so we can get in more stories here. This particular one, of course, is part of a recent development talking about the outgoing chief executive officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. That's
Outgoing,
Farouk Ahmed.
Any which way.
The story is in The Guardian. Well, Mr. Farouk Ahmed has dismissed the allegations that he spent about $5 million on his children's education abroad, insisting that his income, scholarships, and family support fully account for the expenses. Now, this was as Senator Adams Oshomole of APC Edo North has revealed that he celebrated the resignation of Ahmed and Gbenga Komolafe from Nigeria's petroleum regulatory leadership with bottles of beer, describing their exit as necessary for Nigeria's economic survival. Senator David Jimkuta of APC Taraba South reportedly drank with the former governor of Edo State. It seems like it was a celebratory mood for them. Why, I can't tell exactly, but AB, I mean, what is
okay?
What is going on?
Let me start on a slightly tangential note. If I were the beer company that they drank, this is a brand opportunity to say we are the most incorruptible, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's on a secondary note. The fact is, the main headline of the story seemed to deal with this man, his resignation, and the children's education. And that has a lot of talking points. But I am more intrigued about the work that they were doing or not doing as NMDPRA. There have been memes that go out and say any government that can make Dangote carry placard should be feared, or what's to that effect. This is also a government where Dangote was hawking his petrol inside a bottle. My point is, and when he did that with the bottle, he asked a question salient then. I don't know it's still up. He said, does NMDPRA have a laboratory? So what kind of work was Farouk actually doing? Perhaps Dangote got some facts. He has all the money to hire all the private detectives and he can get some interesting facts. And perhaps Farouk can indeed, when faces ICPC, begin to discuss the details. That will be done off camera. It won't be on the news like us, and we'll get an answer one way or the other. And Dangote is not a teddy bear. You don't invest $20 billion and have somebody messing with your business. I mean, I've seen various things that give suggestions about why Dangote would have cause to be angry. That does not mean that Dangote is always right. So please don't come at me with that. I'm not holding water for him. My point is, what kind of job was the NMDRA, whatever they are called, doing under Farouk and the other one under Komolafe? How will it be that somebody set up the world's largest refinery in his own country, where there are 53 other countries in Africa, if you just choose to be on the continent, as Africa's richest dollar billionaire, and you feel that part of your work in NM is to keep importing petrol? How does that make sense? Why would you not see ways to maximize that person? Again, that might have been the tip of the iceberg. We don't know many other things that have been going on in the background, but maybe that was what they call the straw that broke the camel's back for him. You make that investment with plus or minus no support from the country, but you do it anyway because you're a businessman and you can see the market. Hey, wouldn't we all love to monopolize something? Because they always call him a monopolist. Go and monopolize fufu in your district. It must not be oil. Monopolize matches. Pick your monopoly. Monopolize wristwatches. Everybody should find a monopoly and become good at it. So all those fingers they like to point at him, he can monopolize. Well, we all had the chance to. Nigeria had the chance to break a monopolist by making 4 refineries work. We chose not to. In fact, he has reported that there have been over 100 sabotage attempts during when they were trying to make that Port Harcourt refinery work. Again, I am not taking Dangote's words wholesale. I'm just talking about the context. So what kind of work was this man doing? He's talked about his history. He has been working for years. Well, Oga, your work hasn't been very good if we have to look at the organizations you eventually headed. You were made the head of NMD and you are still importing fuel when there's a refinery that can supply not just Nigeria's fuel, but export. What was driving you? So yes, the red letter story is this man educated his children with $5 million. Plus or minus, I don't know. I haven't seen $5 million with my eye. 5 million naira core, in fact, stock of dollars. So I don't know what the details are. But what kind of work? So when Oshomole them were quote unquote celebrating, it may have been about more than just the headline story. It may have been about the kind of work going on. We've heard about how this place, before you knew, Nupeng and Co were supporting this Farouk people. I mean, there are a lot of stories that we don't know because we're not in the industry. Dangote knows where it has been pinching him. Don't annoy a person like Dangote, not because he's a big man, because all of us are mere mortals and we shall all go. But I think people should be wise when they're picking their battles. And yes, a person like Dangote has heft. And in this case, he appeared to have used it. It took 30 minutes for Farouk to enter Asorok and come out, and he resigned immediately. Thus far, we have not heard that he's going to take care of his health. We have not heard that Komolafe is also taking off, because what typically happens as soon as somebody leaves from Ajuri in Galale to the former APC head, immediately their health immediately becomes a challenge. So thus far, he's standing strong. He said he welcomes any probe and he can provide documentation. He has submitted CCB forms every year of his life. So I think that will happen out of sight. What kind of regulatory environment did he set up? And final question, is there till now, with the 48 million he used to earn a year, a lab that the NMDPRA can use to test fuel? And where was that lab when somebody was importing Vaseline and selling to Nigerians? Questions, just interesting questions. Remember that time when under this Nigerian government, people imported something that
2022.
Okay,
I remember.
I don't know whether he was the head then or I don't know. So I'm not putting it on him. But
he was. He was appointed in 2021.
Excuse me. So where was his energy to tell me about quality of Dangote, yes or no, when he was there? And when the important, has anybody whose engine not been compensated? So these are just questions. Curious.
We always have so many questions. Always so many questions, never enough answers to all these things. Anyways, let's take a final story very quickly as we wrap things up. We're talking about this one before we actually came on air, wondering why certain names were not on lists, supplementary lists and so on and so forth. I will not say more than that. I'll keep the rest to myself at this point. But this is in the Punch newspaper, Joseph, where the Senate on Thursday confirmed the nomination of former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani-Kayode, Reno Mokri, and 60 others as ambassadors. Now, the decision followed the consideration and adoption of a report by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs which screened the ambassadorial nominees put forward by President Bola Tinubu. So we've had confirmation of nominations. What are Nigerians and Nigeria, or what should Nigerians and Nigeria be expecting from these individuals going forward?
Ayo, before I answer your question directly, I want to say that, when I teach journalism, I tell my students that no facts are not news. I mean, you can't take that the sun rises, I say it's news, or that President Tinubu is the president of Nigeria. That's no news now. That these people were confirmed. We already knew that they would be confirmed. It was, it's rubber stamp Akpabio Senate. It's just rubber stamp. They will just clear everybody, pass the names as the president wanted it, and so on. No issues. Because why I'm saying so on a serious note is that Nigerians have had concern about some individuals who have been asked to become ambassadors of this country. And yet our National Assembly never felt any way to want to look at what agitated the citizens of this country about such individuals. And that should be a source of concern to us. Or motley crowd of people, some people questionable credentials and so on. And yet our Senate came out and said they have all been screened and they are clear and they are perfect, they are saints. They can go and represent us. Now to the question, what do we expect from them? What do we expect from ambassadors? To be good ambassadors of the country, to project the best that Nigeria can be wherever they are posted to. After now, all that is going to happen is the lobbying for the juiciest postings where you should know the countries that matter and so on. That's all the politicking that will go on now. So when people get certain posting, they celebrate. If you're posted to the United States, of course, UK, Spain, all those kind of countries or Western countries, you're posted to Scandinavia or to
you didn't add Ukraine.
Yeah. I don't know whether everyone will be excited going to Ukraine now, but there are Western countries that excite people. So this is what really goes on behind the scene, and that's all that concerns them. At the end of the day, they go present their letters of credence to the different heads of countries where they are going to. And what we're expecting is that they change what the image of Nigeria where they are. They should be the best that they could be. The career ambassadors, we have no concern about them because they are career diplomats who worked at various times in different countries and so on. So we can always expect that they don't have any major challenge in terms of carrying out these duties. But the non-career ambassadors are mainly either politicians or politically exposed persons or have political connections, in which even gave them the opportunity here, are the ones we should be interested in seeing how well they can do their work. Second thing is that for a very long time, our missions abroad have been left unmanned, and we've had stories of a backlog of payment that were waiting. In some cases, our embassies have buildings that were not paid for, and all those kind of embarrassing things. These are things that we expect ambassadors to really seriously address and work with the Foreign Affairs Ministry to ensure that we take out all those kind of scandalous issues that surround our foreign missions abroad. It is not pleasant. Even in Ghana here, we have had issues with where we're using as a high commission. So we should work at ensuring that we project the best of Nigeria at all times, and it should be a thing of national pride. So when the Foreign Affairs Ministry functions in such a way that our embassies and high commissions and missions are deprived of vital funds for them to function effectively and render services to our citizens in those countries, then it is a shame. It just drags our name down further and further. I mean, I've seen videos of frustrated Nigerians going to our embassy in the US or wherever to have basic services, and they are met with hostility and no ill treatment, no service, proper service delivery. Such things must change, and the ambassadors must address those things frontally and make sure that the best of Nigeria is projected. And I'm very proud of what is going on in the Internal Affairs Ministry, where the minister is coming up with very exciting things. So let's see how all of this work together. So in terms of, for example, you're a citizen of Nigeria, you're outside, you're facing trouble. How can your embassy or high commission step in, resolve issues for you quickly, and bring you safety and so on, even take you in and protect you? Those are the things that are critical.
Maybe
Just
you're
one
chipping
word.
something. Yeah.
Just one word. In seriousness, Ukraine under war sent wheat to Nigeria. Rest with that for the weekend.
And that's a penny for your thoughts.
And they have lights. And they have lights, despite the war. Think about
classic,
it. So
the classic
I
case
may,
of
I
penny
may
for
make
your
a
thoughts.
joke, but I'm very aware
Yeah.
that under war conditions, their life, apart from the bombing and murder, is arguably better than many of our lives here. They don't have children in the bush. Happy weekends.
Yeah.
All right, this is a message from Amadi Nicholas. He's in Ibaojo, Lagos. He says, Dear Smooth team, I just want to thank our analysts for this morning, AB and Joseph. Our current crop of public office holders are a disgrace. At the moment, I'm just speechless. Well, I guess you should put on some Michael Jackson at this point to probably help buttress your points there, Nicholas, because I think we're all quite speechless about the number of things that happen in the country, really and truly. All right, this is from, this is Tajuddin. Uh, this is your message. You want to put me in trouble, right? I mean, you said we know him too well. I don't know him, so I'm not going to actually put that out there. But thank you for the message, all the same. Yes, so let me just keep that one to myself. But thank you for the interaction. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of Freshly Pressed this morning on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. It's a Feel Good Friday, and we are glad we've made it this far. Thank you so much, AB and Joseph, for wrapping up the week with us in grand style. AB.
Thank you all. Next week is Christmas. God bless all of you. Despite what we've gone through this year, never forget to share some Christmas cheer. It will put a smile on your heart when you're generous to your neighbor.
Most definitely. Joseph.
Merry Christmas to everybody in advance and have wonderful festivities, but please be safe wherever you are. Ayo, great times as usual. Be my pleasure of being here with you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Gentlemen, have a great Friday and a great weekend as well. Lagos, thank you all so much once again. Let us not go anywhere. Keep it tuned, 8:15. It's a walk into the world of sports as we take a look at what's been going on over the last couple of days and look forward to sporting events for the weekend.